Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another video. And I wanted to make a quick video, letting you guys know that, kind of giving you an update as to why that I haven't really been able to get as many videos done over the past week or 2 weeks, actually, as I wanted to. The reason for that was both a combination, and I also had a story that I wanted to tell you. The reason why I've been busy was number one because of work, and number two, church, work related, because there was before 7 people that worked on the shift, including me, and then one guy decided that he was going to quit. The reason being that his wife didn't, because that was his second job. He worked that job and another, and his wife was complaining that she wasn't seeing enough of him, so he decided to quit working where I work. He decided to quit working there, keep his other job, and so that moved it down to 6 people. And instead of hiring somebody else on, they decided to just give myself and one other guy more work. And so I've got more hours in this week and last week than I normally do. And I know exactly what some people would say. Well, there's more money. I'd rather keep my sanity. Much rather keep my sanity. And again, some people would say, well, if you got money, I can buy sanity. No, I'd much rather keep my sanity than to have the extra money. I'd much rather have my sanity. Thank you. But I'm hoping things seem to be kind of balancing out a bit more this week, church related, because last week they decided. Last week one of the members of the church ended up keeling over, and so they ended up having his funeral at the church instead of the funeral home. And I mean, I like the guy. He was friendly. Kind of took a lot of people by surprise whenever he suddenly died, but he was older. I don't know his age, but I know he was over 60. And so they decided they were going to have his funeral at the church, which again was odd because normally you have it at the funeral home, but they decided to have it at the church, so I had to be there for that. And then they also decided to have a Valentine banquet at the church on the 13th of February, which, I'll be honest, the Valentine banquet sucked, which I'm going to explain in this video. I'm going to explain what happened. And so that right there also happened. And right now, the leader of the praise team is sick, and so it's now Saturday, and there has not been a single night for practice, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But the thing about the Valentine banquet, and some of you can relate to this, but I'll be honest, I did not really have very much fun at all. I'd say on a scale from 1 to 10 of the amount of fun I had, it was probably a 4 to maybe a 5 at most. That was it. I thought that they were going to have the banquet. They were going to have some sort of service in the sanctuary of the church. So I was there at like 10 after 5. The whole event started at 6. I was there at 10 after 5 because I thought, well, they were going to have it and the sanctuary, or the service in the sanctuary. I walk in, turn the laptop on, and one of the deacons walk in and says they're not doing service. I thought, okay. So turn everything back off. Otherwise, I just stand in the welcome center while another deacon is taking pictures of the people that walks in, because they have this chair and this trellis set up, and they're getting pictures of that. So then the Valentine banquet starts at 6. They have one person sing 3 songs, and then the new pastor, he gets up and blesses the food, and then people start getting food. The food was honestly the best aspect about the whole thing. But then there's a couple different things that ended up happening. First off, there's this woman that goes to church as well, and she's a bitch. Um, she's self-centered, self-absorbed, and thinks she's a know-it-all. And right at the start, whenever everybody gets their food and sits down, she happens to walk over to the table and starts standing there talking to a few of the people at the table where I was sitting at. Uh, and it was very annoying because she didn't even wait for everybody to eat. She just came over, like, you know, no, it's totally not like these people want to eat, And so that was one of the annoying things. The second annoying thing, it was the fact, and some of you are going to laugh at this, some of you are going to relate to this. First off, the new pastor at church right now, he has a son, and whenever they came here, his son and his son's friend came along as well, and all three of us are pretty much about the same age. So here's three guys here. Think about this. Here are three single guys here are three single guys that are in their 20s. Okay, here's three single guys that are in their 20s, and then the thing was, one of the deacon's daughters has had her eye on the pastor's son ever since he walked into the church, and they haven't even been there for 3 months, and she's had her eye on him ever since he walked in. And I've been single my whole life, and then at the end of the banquet, I happened to be standing near the door, going back out into the welcome center, and I overhear this other bitch make a mention to the pastor's son. I overhear her say something like, well, the reason I was asking was because I have a daughter who's 19. And I just couldn't help but kind of look at her with a look. If I was Medusa, she probably would have turned to stone. Because I thought, bitch, I've been going to this church for over a year. You never walked up to me and made anything about your single daughter. Nothing, ho. And so, I mean, it just, and then the pastor's son. Now, I do. I like the pastor's son, and I like his friend. They seem like great guys. I mean, honestly, the few times that we've got to hang out together at church, we haven't. Isn't a moment. There hasn't been a moment so far where we haven't laughed at something. But the pastor's son's friend, he comes over, and he's like, yeah, we both got jobs and girlfriends on the exact same night. Yeah. And he said about the jobs because they had just moved here a few months ago. They had been looking to get a job, and so they just got an application. They just got a job like the day before. So then he makes that mention, yeah, jobs and girlfriend on the same day. And I thought, yep. I've had a job for a little over 5 years now. But I can't say got a girlfriend, and I just kind of thought to myself, don't rub it in, don't rub it in. I mean, I am genuinely happy for the guys, but it was one of those situations where it just made you feel left out, and it's like I always make the joke that I am the mayor of Singlesville, and before I could say, well, welcome to Singlesville. I'm the mayor, and to people, but then the praise team leader, he was single, but then he ends up getting a girlfriend, and I thought, well, he left Singlesville and went to Datesville, or Datopia, and now the pastor's son and his friend just moved from Singlesville to Datesville now, and so again, I'm the mayor, all alone. And like I said, it just one of those situations where it makes you feel kind of left out, I mean, thinking about it, sorry, froze. Thinking about it, you go to a Valentine banquet at church, not to hook up. But then a couple of people hook up at the banquet, leaving you in the dust. That's what happened here. And I just thought, really? Freaking really? Bish? And so I was thinking to myself at this point that I maybe should have just found one table off by itself, made a little card that said singles only, and just sat there. But then I know I would have been the only person sitting there throughout the entire thing. And so then after the banquet was over, they got a few more pictures. Most of the people had already left. Most of the people had once the banquet itself, once the dinner was over with. Um, then the pastor and his son gets up. They sing a few more times. They sing 2 or 3 songs, and uh, then they had bingo. They had 3 games of bingo. Didn't win anything. Then after that, that was basically it. Everybody started leaving, and I was one of the last people to leave the church. But the funny thing, again, and I know some of you can relate to this. It's one of those situations where you couldn't help, where you can't help but kind of feel broken inside, and you're continuing to try to get what enjoyment you can out of something, but you can feel that brokenness, and whenever you get alone, that's whenever you're allowed to shatter. That's kind of how I felt here. Like, after I left church, I remember I walked outside, and I just looked up at the sky, and I took a deep breath, and I walked out over to my truck. I got in, and the moment that I got in my truck and I leaned back, and it was just at that moment that I kind of felt the pieces just shatter. Like the whole ordeal just kind of played out in my head again. That here, the pastor's son and his friend, they haven't even been going to this church. They started back in December. They started in kind of about midway through December. And already there are people that are trying to hook them up. I've been going to the same church for over a year, and nobody gives a crap about me. It's the situation where you can't help but feel like you're nothing. That like nobody gives a crap about you, and nobody cares about you, and like nobody will give you the time of day. And I don't mean that I don't mean that on the female aspect. It's just like other people have apparently tried to fix the pastor's son and his friend up, but then I've been going to this church for, like I said, over a year, and some of these same people that are talking to the pastor's son and his friend never had any interaction with me whatsoever because they just simply don't want to. And so, like I said, it's just one of those situations where it was not as fun as I thought it would be. It was not. And not just because that, like I said, that other woman ruined it whenever she came over to the table. She kind of ruined it whenever she came over to the table and started blabbing on about crap nobody gives a crap about. And then there's the uncomfortable concept that the pastor, he's more of a singer than he is a pastor, and so there's the idea that, kind of in a mental turmoil, that I'm wondering to myself, how long is he going to be at this is he going to be at this church? Like, is he permanent, or will they decide to get someone else, or what? I mean, he's supposed to be the new pastor, but already there's been some things that he's said and some things that he's done that other people don't agree with, and so I just can't help but wonder about that. And so there's a lot of things that just kind of correlated all together and kind of churned, and the final blow was whenever the pastor's son and his friend uh, hook up during the Valentine banquet, and then here I am, kind of left over in the corner. Uh, that moment, like hashtag that moment when, or like that moment when your friends hook up at a party and you don't, and so like I said, I got in my truck and started home alone, like I always do. And then Valentine's Day for me, and I think what also hurt with this also was the fact that it was the day before Valentine's Day, and I knew that the next day was Valentine's Day, and so I was going to be spending it alone, like I always have, and so I think that's kind of what also hurt. But yeah, Valentine's Day for me was basically I did my Mickey cartoon to For Whom the Booth Tolls, and I really enjoyed that. That was my little Valentine Day bit. I didn't get to write any whatsoever, any fan fiction like I thought I was going to, like I wanted to. I didn't get to do any of that, so I'm disappointed with that. Um, didn't get to watch any Mickey and Minnie cartoons on Valentine's Day except for that one. I wanted to watch more. Again, didn't happen. But yeah, so that didn't go like I thought it would at all. Otherwise, I just kind of stayed home and watched a few episodes of watched a couple of episodes, a couple different anime. That was basically it. But yeah, so the Valentine banquet was a bust, and so yeah, I wanted to share that story with you, and because it's kind of funny, and I know some of you will laugh, but I know some of you can relate to that as well. But yeah, it doesn't just happen to you; it happens to me as well. Actually, that's a very normal thing for me. That's the norm for me. Crazy things happen to me. Trust me. But again, wanted to do that, and hopefully you guys can get some entertainment out of it. But again, thank you guys again for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.